Don't put it on
I know I did.
I know, it's so early. I don't know.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Let's begin. So we start in Parsha's Vayishlach, and we begin with number 1. So just to give a little bit of context. Remember again, in last week's Parsha, Yaakov and Esau go their own ways. That's putting it mildly. Remember again, 2 parashos ago, we have the falling out between the brothers. Yaakov Avinu takes the brachos from Esau. Esau essentially swears to kill him, although it doesn't articulate that wish outright. Rivka Imenu, either because she's a perceptive mother or because she literally catches on and she hears about what Esau's plan is, tells Yaakov, you have to go away. You have to leave the home. Yaakov ventures to Lavan. While in Lavan's home in the house of Haran, he marries Rachel, he marries Leah, and begins to establish the 12 tribes. This week's parsha picks up with Yaakov Avinu at the end of last week's parsha choosing to take leave of his uncle, choosing to take leave of Lavan and his home, recognizing that he has to realize his ultimate wish of coming back home, of being reunited with the family. But of course, before he could go ahead and actually arrive back at home, he has to encounter Esau. There's an incredible almost tension. In life, there are certain challenges that we know we have to confront. There are certain challenges that we know we have to deal with. And we try for a very long time to kick the can down the road. We try for a very long time not to deal with them. And the truth is, for a long time in life, it works. You can actually, it's amazing how long you could keep kicking the can down the road. But at some point in time, a person has to face their demons. At some point in time, a person has to face their challenges. And at some point in time, a person has to find a solution to their problems. So that's really what happens in the beginning of Parsha's Vayishlach. Yaakov Avinu can no longer avoid confrontation with Esau. For 22 years, he has actively stayed clear of his brother, but now ultimately, again, the showdown comes. So we feel the tension in the beginning of the Parsha as Yaakov Avinu begins to prepare for this encounter. So the Torah says, this is in number 1. Vayira Yaakov Ma'ot Vayetzer Lo. Yaakov Avinu was exceptionally frightened and distressed. So what does he do? Vayachatz es ha'am asher ito, ve'es hatzon ve'es ha'bakar v'ha'gmolim l'shnei machalos. And what does Yaakov Avinu do? Literally translated, he divided the people who were with him and the flocks and the cattle and the camels into 2 camps. And what does he say? Vayomer, im yavo Esav al machane ha'achas v'iko, v'haya machane ha'nishar lifleito. And he said, if Esau comes to one camp and strikes it down, the remaining camp will escape. So Yaakov Avinu apparently again has a strategy. And what's his strategy? 2 camps, unsure of ultimately again what it is that is going to occur. With Esau, unsure about ultimately again what is going to occur with this showdown with his brother, splits into 2 camps. If chas v'shalom, one camp is destroyed, someone else ultimately again will be there to survive. I forgot to mention our shir this evening is dedicated by Semi and Malka Esterson in memory of their parents, Ludwig Stiefel, Yitzchak Leib ben Aaron HaKohen, and Hinda Esterson, Hinda Bas Hanach Ephraim. It is also sponsored by Avram and Shane Kelman, in commemoration of the yahrzeit of Shane's father, Yeshaya Yosef ben Yoel, and by Mati and Chanalea Margalit, in commemoration of the yahrzeit of Chanalea's uncle, Yitzchak Avram ben Meir. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, all the Neshamos will have an aliyah, and the families a nechama. Okay, so what I'd like to draw your attention to is the following. And again, as I mentioned this morning in the Tehillim shir, and I mentioned this, the truth is throughout these parashos of Bereshis, sometimes we don't fully appreciate these stories because since they're stories that many of us have been learning since our youth, we don't really look at them in an objective sense. We don't look at them with a critical eye. And sometimes, as a result, we miss out on many of the nuanced lessons, ideas, and ideals. So if we take a step back, we have to ask ourselves a fundamental question. The Torah is a book of law. The Torah is a book which teaches, is a sefer, a part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which teaches us moral, ethical, legal concepts and ideas. Therefore, again, even the stories which are included are only included because of their moral, ethical, or legal impact. So whenever you see a story in the Chumash, the first question you have to ask yourself is, why is it here? What am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to gain? The story is interesting. We all love stories. Stories are always fascinating. But at the end of the day, what is it that I'm supposed to take from this particular story? That's the fundamental question. So I'd like to focus on a little bit tonight. What exactly is the Torah teaching us by giving us this information that Yaakov Avinu wanted to split the camps? Now, I'll tell you something very interesting, just as an aside. We actually spoke about this 3 years ago. Did Yaakov Avinu end up splitting the camps? The answer is no. The Torah tells us that Yaakov Avinu intended to split the camps, but it appears, according to most of the Mefarshim, that he never ended up splitting the camps. Why did he never end up splitting the camps? He got a little bit busy. What did he get busy with? Fighting with this mysterious Ish, fighting with this mysterious man the entire night. So that, remember again, by the time the fight with the Ish, with the mysterious man is over, Esav is already approaching. So Yaakov Avinu never actually ends up splitting the camps. Of course, again, the families meet Esav, right, in different segments, in different sections, but he never actually ends up splitting the camps, which magnifies the question even more. The Torah spends a lot of time telling us about something that Yaakov Avinu intended to do, but never actually ended up doing, which then again begs the question, why all the detail, why all the emphasis, why all of the time on something that never even actually materialized? What's the lesson that the Torah is trying to convey to us? What's the idea that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to teach us? What is the deeper message that the Torah is trying to convey? So I'll show you a couple of different interesting ideas. If you look, first of all, the first two approaches, I just want to show you just different interpretations in terms of what Yaakov Avinu himself actually did. If you look at the Al-Shich in number 2, the Al-Shich says something amazing. This really isn't a moral ethical lesson. It's more just an interesting insight into the Parsha. So the Al-Shich writes in number 2, Al-Kein Ma'asa, Bayachatz, V'hu, Ki Asa Me'ha'am Asher Ito Machane Echad, Ves Hatzom, Shukol Mikne Kinyono Asher Rachash Machane Achar. V'zeu L'shtei Machanos. First, the Al-Shich says, what was Yaakov Avinu's plan? Yaakov Avinu was to split the group, his entity, into two camps. What were the two camps going to be? So often, when you think about the two camps, how do you envision, who are the two camps? Rachel, Leah, right? It's always amazing how, again, when we think about divisions, we always think there was one camp with Rachel, one camp with Leah, and in fact, again, when introducing Yaakov Avinu introduces his family to Esav, remember again, he introduces Leah and her children first, and Rachel and her children second. The Al-Shich says, Yaakov Avinu wasn't divided. I'll tell you the truth, this always bothered me. Because when you read the Pesukim, and if you assume that Yaakov Avinu is going ahead and dividing up his family into two parts, what is Yaakov Avinu essentially saying? I'm willing to sacrifice one. So how exactly are you making that call? Right? How exactly are you deciding which is going to be the camp in the front, which is going to be the camp? And Al-Shich says, no. That's because it's a wrong interpretation. Yaakov Avinu made two camps. What are the two camps? Camp number 1 was all of his possessions. The bakar, the tzon, the sheep, the cattle, all of his stuff. That was camp number 1. Camp number 2 was all of the people. Vayomer, I'm just going to read one more line, no translate. Hine efshar kol kaz Esav yata ala nechasem v'omu kim mishalo, ach lo lishloach yado ki im bechayi avi lo yiga biyad o efshar shemirov kaso gam ala ya'avar kos. So listen to this. Al-Shich says, here was Yaakov Avinu's plan. I'm splitting up my enterprise, we'll call it, into two camps. Camp number 1 are my possessions. Camp number 2 is my family. I'm going to accompany camp number 1 to meet Esav. Now, Yaakov Avinu has absolutely no idea about what? Esav's temperament. what exactly is going to happen? So Yaakov Avinu sees it in a couple of different ways. Esav could either, I'm going to offer him all of my money, and if he takes everything, then fantastic, we're done. Or he may be angry, and he may choose to go ahead and vent his frustration against my possessions. And that's fine as well, says Yaakov, as long as I'm able to spare the family. If he ends up attacking me, take a look at paragraph base. Alkin Amar Bezosi Bachin, Kim Yavo Machana Achas Rishon Shal Nechasim Yaniach Osi Im Shepogeh Birishona Hine Bazeh Eida Kilo La Misani Bilbavo V'lachin Lo Omar Lo Davar Rak V'Ko Anichen Lakoso Lo Echo Shalom Mama V'La Yinoka Ba'ashvus Davar V'ach V'Haya Machana Nishal Lefleita Kim Yishluchu Yodo Bi Ashim Panay Negdo. It's amazing enough, says Yaakov, like this. I am going to go ahead and travel with the first camp, the camp of possessions, because I feel at the end of the day, Asa will either accept the money and I'll buy him off, or if he's so angry, he'll wipe out all of my possessions and me, but inevitably he will spare who? The second camp. So Yaakov Avinu therefore says, one way or another, my family will be protected, either because Esav does not have harmful intentions, or even if he does, he will vent his fury on camp number 1, which is me, Yaakov, and the possessions. Camp number 2, which is the mishpacha, has the ability to escape. If you look in Toldos Yitzchak number 3, so again, he has a little bit of a different interpretation. Vayam machana nishal lefleita, nirali shekavanas Yaakov bechaleka machana, kishiyilachim imo ima machana echad, yila beilachamo imoem via ayef v'yageh. So the Toldos Yitzchak learns a little bit different. Toldos Yitzchak understands that no, the two camps were actually both made up of people. What's Yaakov Avinu's cheshbon? What's his idea? That obviously I'm going to take some of my sons / warriors with me in the first camp. We'll hide the second camp. The second camp will lay an ambush. If it turns out that Esav overpowers the first camp, he will think that he has defeated us. Then the second wave comes in and we're able to do battle with Esav. The point I'm trying to make over here is that sometimes we have this idea that Yaakov Avinu is splitting the camp almost an admission of defeat. Someone's going to die. So at least if someone's going to die, not everybody should die. And we'll discuss this in just a little bit. The Al-Sheikh is saying, no, that wasn't his intention. The family was in the rear. People were in the rear. The possessions in the front. Let Esav either take the money, destroy the money, but the family is spared. Told us Yitzchak, Yaakov Avinu is dividing his family into two fighting forces. That in the event that the first one is overpowered by Esav, the second one will come in as a support. The second one will come in after Esav's been weakened and hopefully be able to overcome Esav. So interesting interpretations, but still don't answer our core question, which is what? Why is this whole piece of information even recorded? Meaning, remember, had the Torah not disclosed this piece, you always have to think about it like this. Had the Torah not disclosed this piece of information, would I be any less enriched? Would there be anything missing from my Judaic personality? So the simple answer seems to be no. Had the Torah just told me that Yaakov met Esav and they made up and everything is good, fine, I get the point. Do I need to know the tension of Yaakov Avinu splitting up the camps, of splitting up the families? Again, especially in light of the fact that he didn't end up doing it. They didn't actually end up saying that. Why they need to convey to us this information? So now we're going to go through a series of interpretations which do yield moral, ethical implications. So take a look at the Medrash, Psikta Zutrasa number 4. Vayira Yaakov Ma'od Vayitzar Lo, Afa Pi Shevtiach Nisyarim. Now, what the Medrash is bothered by is the following. Yaakov Avinu is armed with a divine promise. What's the divine promise? That everything is going to be okay. The divine promise is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has already told Yaakov Avinu, I'm with you. We talked about this last week. I'm with you. I'm by your side. I will be with you every step of the way. At no point in time in this process will you ever be alone. I promise I have your back. If that's the case, why is Yaakov Avinu? Why at the end of the day does he feel such incredible anxiety if the Ribono Shel Olam has already promised him that all is going to be okay? So look what the Medrash says. Savar Shema Yigro Machet. What is Yaakov Avinu ultimately again worried about? He's worried about Shema Yigro Machet. What does Shema Yigro Machet mean? He was worried that perhaps again some of the averos that he may have committed could potentially compromise his ability to see the actualization of the divine promise. This is the hallmark of tzaddikim. Tzaddikim never rest on their accomplishments. The righteous never assume, part of the beauty of our righteous personality, the avos and the mos, is they lived life without any sense of entitlement. We live in a society of entitlement. Everyone is owed something. In Hebrew, there's the expression of magiali. Magiali, I'm owed something. Do you know what happens when you live life with a sense of entitlement? You know what happens? No one here knows, but maybe you have a friend, right? Or a child, right? So you know what happens when you live life with a sense of entitlement? You're always disappointed. You're always disappointed. Why? Because no one ever lives up to your expectations. So if I'm in a marriage and I think that I'm entitled to something from my spouse never lives up to the expectations. If I'm a child and I think I'm entitled to something from my parents live up to the expectations. I think I'm entitled. If you live life with a sense of entitlement, if magiali, so everybody around me is always failing because they're never giving me what it is that I feel I deserve. But there's another way to live. If you live with the feeling, with the mindset, no one owes me anything. No one owes me anything. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't owe me anything. No one in life owes me anything. So first of all, what that does is it tells you that if you want something in life, then what do you have to do? Go get it. Go get it. Don't wait for someone to deliver to your doorstep. Don't wait for someone else to do the heavy lifting. No one owes you anything. If you want something in life, then you make it happen. And if it doesn't happen, it's no one else's fault but your own. The greatness of the avos and the mos is that they lived with absolutely zero sense of entitlement. Zero conception of entitlement. Avraham Avinu never said, God, I just want to remind you, remember that Lech Lecha thing? How you told me to go and I went? I think you owe me something, right? I think maybe I shouldn't have to buy a burial plot for Sarah Imenu. Or maybe I shouldn't have to relocate because of famine. Maybe we should just cause abundance to grow in my backyard vegetable garden. I think you owe me a little bit. No, Avraham Avinu never once. There's never a sense of entitlement. Yaakov Avinu has a bracha from the Rebbe. He has a haftacha. He has a promise from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that I'm going to take care of you. But Yaakov says, okay, God promised me. He doesn't owe me anything. God doesn't owe me anything. I'm not entitled to it. So Shem Yigro Machet. Who's to say that I have lived up to that promise? Who's to say that I am entitled to that promise? Therefore, Sava Shem Yigro Machet, Limda Torah Derech Eretz, so according to the Medrash, the entire essence of this story is don't live life with a sense of entitlement. Yaakov Avinu, again, as he's about to go ahead and face Esau, what does he do? I know we're familiar with the famous Medrash that he went ahead and he prepared himself for 3 different things. He sent gifts, he davened, and he prepared to war. But Yaakov, why do anything? At the end of the day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said he's going to take care of you. So why the need to do anything? And the answer is, just because God says he's going to give me something doesn't mean that I'm entitled to it. The message, therefore, being, don't live life with a mindset of entitlement. The Radak, in number 5, takes a different approach. He says, and by the way, just before we go on, the Medrash also brings down one more idea. Lo Yimanam min Rachamim also means never stop davening. Never stop davening. You remember, again, we've spoken about, I don't know if it was in this year and different shiurim, there's an amazing Gemara Maseches Brachos. The Gemara speaks about an incredible encounter between the Navi Yeshayahu and the king Chizkiyahu. So the story is told Chizkiyahu was on his deathbed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells, now Chizkiyahu, remember, again, had the ability to be the Mashiach. The Gemara says, Chazal tells us he had the ability to be the Mashiach. Why didn't he become the Mashiach? Why? Because he actively chose not to marry and to have children. Now, why did he choose not to marry and have children? Because he saw, Baruch HaKodesh, he saw a divine prophecy that he was going, if he would have a son, his son would be an incredible Rasha. His son would be incredibly wicked. So he made the decision, better not to marry, not to have a family, than to have a son who's going to be a Rasha. So what happens? He's exceptionally ill. God commands the Navi Yeshayahu. Yeshayahu and Chizkiyahu had a little bit of a rocky relationship. So God commands the prophet Yeshayahu to go visit the king Chizkiyahu. So he shows up. He says, Chizkiyahu's in his bed. He's dying. Yeshayahu says, Shalom Aleichem, you're going to die. Okay, not the best speaker called the medicate, but okay, Shalom Aleichem, you're going to die. So Chizkiyahu says, what's the pshat? He says, because, so Shishah says, because you actively never married, and you never tried to marry, you never tried to have children. So God, therefore, again, decided that you're going to die. So Chizkiyahu says, excuse me, let me explain to you why. Give me a chance to explain myself. At the end, I did what I did because I saw Baruch HaKodesh, I was going to have a son who was a Rasha. To which Yeshua responds, why are you getting involved in God's plans? Don't get involved in God's plans. God gives man a simple mandate, Peru or Revu, try to get married, try to have children, try to establish a family. That's what Baruch Hu tells us. Don't get involved in God's deeper calculations. So what does Chizkiyahu say to Yeshayahu? Fine. I'm single. You have a daughter. Let's make a shidduch. To which Yeshayahu says, I would, but like I told you before, you're going to die. So it's not so shaykh. It's not so shaykh, right? It's not, you're going to die, it's not so shaykh. So Chizkiyahu says something amazing. Chizkiyahu says, I have a Masorah. Chizkiyahu was a great grandson of David HaMelech. He says, I have a Masorah, a tradition from my father's home, David HaMelech. Even if there is a sharp sword against the neck of a person, never stop davening. Never stop asking for divine compassion. Even when all hope looks like it's lost, never stop davening. Sure enough, what happened? Chizkiyahu is healed from his illness. He marries Yeshayahu's daughter, and they have a son. That son is named Menashe. Menashe was the longest reigning monarch of Klal Yisrael, 55 years, and much better, and was a terrible Russia. He was a Russia for 33 years of his reign. For 33 years of his reign, did tshuva for 22 years of his reign. During those 22 years, he tried to undo all of the idolatry that he implanted within Klal Yisrael, but it had become so systemic that he was unable to pull back all of the negativity that he had introduced. Why am I sharing this with you? Because this is what the Medrash is saying as well. Lo yimana min harachamim. Yaakov Avinu is outmanned. Yaakov Avinu, there's no real way that Yaakov Avinu could come out of this in a healthy state, but yet you see this idea that the power of the Jew is that we believe there's no such thing as all hope is lost. There is no such thing as that there can't be salvation. There is no such thing as there's absolutely no potential light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, again, the world works with teva, the world works with nature. So more often than not, the world follows a natural course. But the Jew is the eternal optimist. The Jew never stops davening. The Jew never stops reaching out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because who knows what could change. So the Medrash says there are two lessons to be learned here from Yaakov Avinu. Number one, don't live life with a sense of entitlement. Yaakov, you have a promise from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's not how the Jew walks around. I don't walk around feeling entitled. I don't walk around saying Magia li. That's lesson number one. Lesson number two is never stop davening. Never stop davening. The Ribono Shel Olam could do anything in any moment. Never despair from Yeshuas Hashem. Never despair from divine salvation. Look at the Radak. He takes a different approach. Radak says, Vayachatz, Amre B'chia, Limdacha Derech Eretz, Shelo Yehe Adam Maniach Mamono Bebayis Echad. So the Radak says something amazing. You know what the lesson is? Don't keep all of your money in one house. Now, what does that mean? So the Radak says we learn from here the important yesod of life diversification. Life diversification. So you'll speak to your financial planner about diversification, right? You don't put all of your money in risky stocks, right? If you want to diversify. So diversification is not just in your finances. Diversification, says the Radak, is in life as well. A person has to go ahead and essentially spread out their effort in many different ways. I meant to include it on the sheet, but I apologize that I didn't. You know where this is brought down? This is brought down in the Gemara Maseches Yevamos, where the Gemara discusses about the death of Rabbi Akiva's 24,000 Talmidim. And the Gemara quotes a pasuk. The pasuk in Kohelet says, Baboker zara es zarecha, in the morning plant your seeds, ule'erev al tanach yadecha, and in the evening do not withdraw your hand. In other words, what the pasuk is saying is, work in the morning, work in the evening, work in your youth, work in your old age, because you never know at the end of the day which of your efforts yield fruit. The idea is spiritual diversification is exceptionally important because we never know at the end of the day where our success comes from in life. If you put, all of your eggs in one basket, so if it works, great. If it doesn't, you're left with nothing. So the Radak understands over here that I'm sorry, let me just finish the thought. The reason why the Gemara brings up Rabbi Akiva is what happened to Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva raised 24,000 Talmidim in his youth. And then what happened? They all died. What did Rabbi Akiva do? He got back up and he started all over again from square one. So Rabbi Akiva planted in the morning, but when those saplings did not grow, did not mature, he planted again in the evening. The idea, says the Radak, what we learn from Yaakov Avinu, is that life is filled with incredible uncertainty, spiritual diversification, trying to grow in multiple areas, trying to be successful in multiple areas, assures someone of some level of success somewhere. Yaakov Avinu splits the camp in an effort to highlight the sort of spiritual diversification. We're going to build on this concept in just a moment. If you take a look at number 6, we're going to come back to the Radak in a few moments. Look at number 6, there's 9 Torah. Rav Sorotsky understands this a little bit differently. He says, he actually brings up a very interesting point. This is paragraph A. Yaakov Avinu prepares himself for 3 different things. L'daran, l'tfilo, l'mochama. He sends a gift to Esav, davens to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he prepares for war. That's Rashi. Seder HaKsuvim hu l'mochama, vayachas l'shnei machanos, l'tfilo v'yomer Yaakov elokei avi, u'l'daran vayikach, mincha le'Esav, u'madua lo hischil b'tfila. So Zayim Torah asks an amazing question. Yaakov Avinu prepares for an encounter with Esav in 3 ways. What are the 3 ways? War, prayer, gifts. Now, if you look at the order of the psukim, so ultimately, again, the order is just that. War, gifts, prayer. War, gifts, prayer. So Zayim Torah says, why does Yaakov Avinu begin with preparations for war? Why not begin with what? Tefillah. Why not begin with prayer? It's a good question. So let's see what he writes. Mipnei shenifa mitshuvas hamalachim vayira Yaakov mo paragraph B v'lo haisa daito miyusheves alav lehispalo bekavana v'hischil la'asos hachanos l'nuchama. So Zayim Torah says something amazing. Tefillah, prayer, true connection, requires a certain level of inner quietude, requires a certain level of inner equilibrium. What was the problem? Yaakov Avinu was in a state of internal upheaval. Why was he in a state of internal upheaval? Because the messengers come back, and what do they tell Yaakov? Esau is coming to meet you with what? With 400 men. So Yaakov Avinu is all upset. Yaakov Avinu is worried. Yaakov Avinu, again, is in an incredible state of anxiety. The Zayim Torah posits, you can't daven when you're in a state of anxiety. Therefore, what does he do? He prepares for war first. As Amar ki yore anochi ito, v'lo Amar ma'od, v'zeh simen shekar niskara ma'at daito ad kidei l'sval b'kavana. So again, the first thing that Zayim Torah says is why was preparations for war first? Because Yaakov Avinu wasn't in the state of mind to daven yet. He was not in the state of mind. Afterwards, after he prepares for war, he calms down a little bit, then he davens. The Zayim Torah then goes on to say, if you skip down a little bit to paragraph C, v'ulai sidar kodem es hamachanos v'achach espalo, Dugmas Mashuach Melchama Hamadaber Ela'am B'Shashem Krevin Melchama. V'Omer Lehem, paragraph D, Shema Yisrael, Shezeking Tefillah V'Idud V'Chim Rotzi Yaakov L'Spal B'Shash Hamachanos Nechonam Melchama La'odid Esrucham V'Gam Sheishtat V'Uma B'Tefillah. Another possibility is that he wanted to save prayer for when they were ready to potentially go out to war. In that moment, right before the encounter with Esav, that's when Yaakov Avinu wanted them to daven. He compares it to the Mashuach Melchama. When the army would go out to war, there was a special Kohen who would go out to war with them. And what would he do right before war? He would give them divrei chizuk. He would give them words of encouragement. So again, that happened right before battle to gird them with optimism and strength right before battle. So to Yaakov Avinu saves his tefillah right before they're about to encounter Esav for battle. But there's another possibility as well. Remember again, so Zayim Torah is asking a very fundamental question. He's asking, number one, why don't you know all this information on the splitting of the camps? But then he asks a further question, is if Yaakov is preparing himself for 3 things, prayer, gifts, and war, why not daven first? Why does war come first? Why do war preparations come first? So Zalman Torah gives his two answers, but there's a third answer. What's the third answer? That Yaakov Avinu was teaching us an incredible lesson, which is that when we are in a state of crisis, the first thing we do is not daven. When we are in a state of crisis, the first thing we do is take action. You see, sometimes in life we think that the first reaction to crisis is Ribono Shel Olam, help me. No, the first reaction to crisis is, what can I do to help myself? What can I first do to advance my own agenda? What can I do to navigate these tumultuous circumstances? Of course, again, concurrently, as I'm putting in my effort, my ishtalos, of course, I can dive into HaKadosh Baruch Hu also. But the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the world to work is he wants man to extend as much effort as he can. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, listen, here's the deal. Where your reach ends, that's where mine begins. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to become masters over our own destiny. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to take ownership over our circumstances. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to try to fix things and not just always look to him to fix everything. So why does Yaakov Avinu prepare for war before he davens? Because Yaakov Avinu is teaching us a fundamental lesson, which is take ownership of your circumstances. Take ownership of the difficulties. Take ownership of the challenges. Do whatever is within your power to fix it. Now, many times in life, we can't fix all the challenges. That's fine. We have a synergistic partnership, God says to us. You do your part, do whatever you can, and then I will step in where your reach ends. So according to the assignment of Torah, we then begin to understand why the Torah is giving us this information. Because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is teaching us a dramatically amazing lesson from Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov splits the camps. That's the first thing he does, even before he davens. The lesson to us being, take action before prayer, or at least take action alongside prayer. It's unfair to put everything on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It is unfair to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to do everything while I sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. That's not what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. The Rebbe Shalom doesn't want spectators. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants partners. And Yaakov Avinu ultimately models this for us. First thing he does is he splits the camps. Then after he splits the camps, he sends the gifts. And then after he exhausts all of his own ishtalos, his own possibilities, then ultimately he reaches out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rebbe Shalom, I've done anything and everything I can. Now I need you to step in. And now we begin to understand why the Torah Kadosh includes this information. Not because we need it for the storyline for Yaakov Avinu, but because what Yaakov Avinu did teaches us how to deal with crisis. Own it. Take charge of it. Roll up your sleeves and try to affect change. Recognizing that very often I can't solve the problem, but just because I can't solve it doesn't mean that at the end of the day, I am exempt from trying. I must do whatever is within my power. And then I say, Ribono Shel Olam, I need you to step in. I need you to help out as well. Take a look at number 7. One last approach, then we'll tie everything together. It's from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. So Rabbi Nachman says so beautifully in Likutei Halachos. He advances a really magnificent idea. We're not going to do this whole piece. We'll just do parts of it. So look what the Rebbe says. Paragraph A. Vayachatz es ha'am asher ito v'esatzon l'shnei machanos v'ayo ha'machaneh ha'nish'al lefleito kisheroen shekosher lahasig ha'itza shlema. So the Rebbe says something absolutely amazing. You know, sometimes in life, you start out with a beautiful plan. Beautiful plan. So the Rebbe calls the Eitzah HaShlema, the grand master plan of life. Right? We start with it. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to accomplish. This is going to be the person I'm going to become. And again, it's a magnificent, beautiful plan. The Eitzah Shlema. So what happens? The Rebbe says, sometimes, Kisharon Shekasha Lahasig Ha'Eitzah Shlema. Sometimes what happens? We realize that it's difficult to achieve the grand master plan. Now, by the way, that's not because the plan wasn't good. It's not because the plan was flawed. It's just sometimes because of life. I have this dream, I have this vision, but then tachlis, when it comes down to actualizing it, I realize that it's very difficult to make this materialize. So the Rebbe says, what do you do in those moments when you realize that the Eitzah Shalema, the complete grand plan, is just difficult to grasp, difficult to actualize? Look what he writes. At least try to make part of the plan materialize. Even if you can't get the whole plan, can you salvage part of the plan? Ba'ofen sha'al kol panim yihya nishar lo machane hanishar lefleita, v'lo yihya ne'avad legamrei chas v'shalom. So the Rebbe says something so beautiful. Sometimes we think our dreams and our plans are all or nothing, right? Either it's going to materialize or it's not going to materialize. Says Rebbe, it's not true. Sometimes, again, even if you can't get your entire dream, even if you can't actualize or you can't realize your entire goal, you could salvage parts of it. You could realize parts of it. You could bring segments of it to fruition, actualization. Shelo yomar sheyelech v'yishanes. So look what he writes. The Rebbe says, skip down a little bit to paragraph C. Ule'es ata yisnahi kafi chaluka sa'itza. Sometimes, again, even if everything you want can't materialize, you have to figure out a way to grab on to something. You have to find a way to make some part of your dream, some part of your aspirations, some part of your life desires come to life. Shezeh bechinas vayachatz es ha'am v'hayor ha'machaneh hanishar lefleita. Listen to what the Rebbe says. The Rebbe says that's the metaphor here. The metaphor here is that Yaakov Avinu has the mishpacha together, right? As Yaakov Avinu enters into Canaan, so the whole family, the entire Yaakov Avinu enterprise is together. That enterprise, by the way, represents the totality of his life dreams, right? He's got Rachel and Leah, and as much as Leah was not the intended wife of Yaakov Avinu is a smart man, and he realizes that, look, if she has 6 of the Shvatim, if she is the mother of half of the tribes, obviously that means that the Ribono Shel Olam smiles upon this union. So he's got Leah and her sons. He has Rachel, ultimately, again, as of now, her son. Only Yosef is born. Binyamin is not born yet, right? And for Yaakov Avinu, if Yaakov Avinu, can you imagine that moment, like where he's looking at his family? How do you think he feels? How do you think he feels? Life is perfect. Life is perfect. Life is the dream. I never imagined I would have this. Your dream has materialized. Now what happens? What's introduced into the equation? Esav. And what does Esav represent? Esav represents, Esav, the Yitzhara, the Sitra Achra, the Malach HaMaves. It's simple. You know what Esav represents? Esav represents life turbulence. Esav represents the curveballs. Esav represents the things that derail life dreams. Yaakov Avinu is minding his own business. What does he want to do? Something very simple, very noble. He just wants to go home. I just want to see my parents. I just want to see my parents. Doesn't realize, again, Rivka has already died. He only finds out about that later. Yitzchak Avinu is already old and close to death himself. But in his mind, all he has, I just want to go home. I want to introduce my wives to my parents. I want to introduce my children to their grandparents. That's all I want. That's all I want. A simple, quiet life. And as he enters into Canaan, who comes approaching? Esav. Esav represents turbulence. Esav represents the curveballs. Esav represents the unintended circumstances that often derail our plans, that often derail our dreams. So what do you do when the life that you wanted? What do you do when your dreams are not going to materialize in the way you had intended? So sometimes people think, well, if I can't have it the way that I wanted, then I guess the whole thing is done. I guess my whole dream, all of my aspirations have tanked. There's nothing more to talk about. So the Rebbe says something amazing. What does Yaakov Avinu do? And again, if you look at the pasuk, what does Yaakov Avinu do? Vayachatz es ha'am asher ito. What does he do? He splits the camp. He splits the camp. What does it mean that he splits the camp? And Yaakov Avinu says, remember, look at his lashon. His lashon is Vayomer im yavo Esav ala machana achos. If Esav will come on one of the camps, Viko, and he'll destroy it. What will happen? What will happen? If I can't salvage the whole camp, at least what? I'll salvage part of it. Which says Rabbi Nachman so beautifully means that Yaakov Avinu was saying that in life you have to have the koach, that even if your full dream can't materialize, save something. Salvage something. Make some part come true. Look at paragraph C. Sometimes, again, you just have to divide up your dreams. Sometimes you have to divide up your endeavor. Sometimes you have to divide up your aspirations. Shezeh b'chinas vayachatz es ha'am vayam machana nishar lefleita haynu sheyikba belibo sheich sheyeh apapikein. Paragraph D. Ani chazak shelo eya nosuk achor legamre me'Hashem yisbarach. No matter how much Esav comes my way, I'm not going to give up on my dreams in totality. I know that Esav may go ahead and prevent my dream from materializing in the way that I had wanted, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to let Esav derail me in totality. I have to try to salvage something. I will not give up on my dreams. I'm not going to be one of those people who throws in the towel in life. You hear these words? You hear these words? I'm in paragraph D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines in. Listen to this. I will stand my ground. Lachtov ma she'uchal. And I will grab whatever I can. Just because life does not materialize the way that I had wanted it, just because my dreams don't materialize the way that I had dreamt, the way that I had desired, I'm not throwing in the towel in life. I will grab something. I will make something happen. I will make some part of my life dreams materialize. So the Rebbe gives a mashal. He gives very simple, beautiful mashalim. Paragraph E. Person says, I'm going to learn a lot of Torah, and I'm going to daven with incredible kavanah. And I'm not going to sin. So this is pretty significant aspirations here. I'm going to learn a lot of Torah. I'm going to daven with incredible kavanah, and I'm going to stop. I'm going cold turkey on sin. I'm going to stop sinning. The roeh. So what happens? It sounds great. The roeh shekash alav, and then amazingly enough, he realizes that wow, it's pretty easy to say it. It's much more difficult to live it. So he encounters challenges on every level. So what happens? What happens when this well-meaning Jew sins for the first time? What happens? So it's easy to say, I'm a failure. Oh, okay, my dreams didn't materialize. Not going to happen. You could take that approach, except the Rebbe says that's throwing in a towel in life. Rather, what should you do? He says, rather, so you know what? Your dream didn't materialize as you had thought. You thought that you're never going to sin again. And now you commit an Aveira. So what can you grab? What can you salvage? What you could salvage is just because you made one mistake doesn't mean you have to make two. So I wanted to daven with kavanah, and I realized I can't daven with kavanah. So look what he says. He goes on, I have to try to grab something good every day of my life. And let's say again, this guy who said he's going to daven every single tefillah with kavanah, then realizes that what? Turns out he's not davening at all. At least try to talk Kadosh Baruch Hu a little bit. So it's not Shachris, it's not Mincha, it's not Ma'ariv. All right, just try to converse with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in some way. Paragraph F. V'im yimna'ini chas v'sholom gam mizeh ma lasos apapikin elmod ma'at o harbe v'akoponim esgaber b'ritzonos chazakim l'Hashem yisbarach ve'ezak al koponim ribono she'olam Moshiach. You hear what the Rebbe is saying? Do you know what the enemy of the Jew is? You know, the enemy of spiritual growth is? The enemy of spiritual growth is perfection. That right? Truth is, they say perfection is the enemy of good. Perfection is the enemy for one simple reason. If you set perfection as your goal, I can guarantee you one thing with absolute money-back guarantee, which is you will fail. I'm not talking that, I'm talking to all of us. We fail. None of us are perfect. So if the goal is perfection, I'm setting myself up for failure, says the Rebbe. The goal instead could be I set the bar high. We're supposed to set the bar. You know, Klal Gadol in life is if one said we all should have goals and aspirations, daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals, lifetime goals. So you know, if at the beginning of the week you write down your to-do list, which should be your week's aspirations. If at the end of the week you've accomplished everything you set out to do, then you are selling yourself short. And at the end of the day, you're not setting the bar high enough. You should never finish your to-do list because I don't mean like your stuff around the house. That's not what I'm referring to. I mean like your life, the real to-do list. your life to-do list. If you finish your to-do list on any given week, your personal growth to-do list, then you're taking it too easy on yourself. Then you're setting the bar too low. Life is all about setting expectations just a little bit beyond my current reach. If it's too far beyond my reach, then it becomes impossible. Just a little bit beyond my reach. And says the Rebbe, just know, more often than not, when we set those expectations for ourselves, we won't reach them. Not initially. So what do you do in those moments of failure? What do you do in those moments when Esav comes along and ruins your dreams? What do you do when you lose traction on good momentum in life? So the Rebbe says you have a choice. Person can say, well, if the dream's not going to materialize, if my goal's not going to materialize, I give up. I tried, I give up. And you hear this all the time. I can't have any conversations with people when I try to convince them to do something or to try something. And people say, this is the best line. Person says, I'm a perfectionist. So I don't like to do something unless I know I can do it perfectly. And I say, you're not a perfectionist. You're a wimp. You're a wimp. Why? Because what you're saying is you're scared. You're scared of failing. You're scared of reaching. You're scared of not having your dreams materialize. If you're a perfectionist, there's only one perfectionist I know. And that's the Ribono Shel Olam. And he's exceptionally good at it. The rest of us, when we say I'm a perfectionist, that's an excuse to not have to try. That's an excuse to not have to fail, to not have to fall. Instead, says the Rebbe, recognize that more often than not, our dreams hit Esav bumps. Our dreams, our life aspirations, I would venture to say, there's not one person in this room who life has gone exactly according to plan. There's not one person here who could say, you know what? The vision I had when I was a kid and a teenager and a young adult, perfect. It's been just the way I imagined. It's amazing how it all fell into place. Now, sometimes that's because our dreams that we dream in our youth are immature and not fully baked, but sometimes not. Sometimes I had good dreams, and they didn't materialize. That's life. Do you know why? Because life is filled with Esav. Life is filled with this bumps. Life is filled with turbulence. Life is filled with challenges and difficulties. So the shaila is, what do you do when Esav comes and meets you right as you're about to enter into the promised land of the actualization of your dreams? Do you throw in the towel? Do you give up? Say, woe is me. This is my lot. This is my plight. My dreams won't materialize. Nebuch on me. And spend the rest of your life in a state of self-pity and self-doubt and anger at HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know what? Okay, I got it. The dream that I wanted is not the dream that materialized. What can I salvage? What can I salvage? What can I grab onto? What can I hold onto? Which parts? Because you know what the amazing part is? In every failed dream, there's always some salvageable material. In every life endeavor that just simply never really takes off, there's always something you can grab to make happen. So the Rebbe says, paragraph F, turn the page. We're just going to do one more line. And the Rebbe says, sometimes, again, he's saying like in a metaphorical way, I don't know, should I stay in my house or should I venture out? Right? He means like sometimes in life, I don't know which is the right derech. And sometimes we face these, we're often at these crossroads each and every day. And the Rebbe says so amazingly that sometimes all I just have to figure out for myself is to say that no matter what happens, my goal ultimately is that I'm going to salvage something for myself. I'm going to grab onto some part of the dream. And the Rebbe says, I can't even get into all the examples. I'm not doing justice. I put more of L'Likutei Halachos on the sheet of what we're going to study because you'll take it on your own. But the Rebbe says, says the Rebbe, this is the message of this episode of the Torah. Kadosh Baruch Hu is teaching us something dramatic. That Yaakov Avinu's experience with Esav is an incredible metaphor for the human condition. Yaakov Avinu comes with the family intact. Everything is beautiful. Everyone is healthy. Everyone is actually getting along. Like for that 7 minutes, right? Everybody, mamish is one mishpacha achat, one beautiful, happy family. They're coming into the promised land that everything is perfect. It's the dream. And then Esav comes along and begins to derail everything. What does Yaakov Avinu do? Says Rabbi Nachman, Vayachatz es ha'am asher ito. He splits the camp. What does he mean he splits the camp? V'hayo ha'machaneh ha'nishar lefleita. Even if I can't have the dream as I originally wanted it, what can I salvage? What can I make happen? What can I cause to truly actualize? So if we bring this all together, it turns out that from a little detail in the story that we've read so many times, but just taking it for granted as a detail of the story, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to teach us some incredibly dramatic lessons. What are the lessons to be learned from Yaakov Avinu's splitting up of the camp? Remember again, why does the Torah, remember the question, why does the Torah record this information? Especially given the fact that what? That it didn't happen. He never actually ends up splitting the camps. So if he never ends up splitting, why record the information? So again, to bring out all of our lessons. From the Medrash, we learned the idea that at the end of the day, don't live with a sense of entitlement. Number one. Lesson number two is never stop davening. A Jew never gives up hope. A Jew never says, I'm beyond salvation. A Jew never says, the circumstances are beyond salvation. Yaakov Avinu kept davening. We keep davening as well. According to the Radak, spiritual diversification. Don't put all of your money in one home. The idea is, and this is, I didn't do justice to this Radak, but just understand, sometimes like a person says, me, I'm into chesed. Torah, learning is not really my thing. I'm into chesed. Or a person will say, I'm into learning. Chesed is not my thing. If it's in the Torah, then it's your thing. If it's in the Torah, then I have to do it. There's no such thing as, this really speaks to me, but this doesn't. It doesn't speak to you, so let it speak to you, right? Or figure it out, or, grow up and speak to it, even if it doesn't speak to you. At the end of the day, don't put all of your money in one home. A Jew has to be proficient in everything. No such thing as this speaks to him. Jew has to have the spiritual diversification. Yaakov split the camps to diversify. We must spiritually diversify as well. From Yaznaim Lator, from Saratskin, we learned the incredible lesson. That when in crisis, take action. The first response of the Jew to crisis is not tefillah, or I should say, is not only tefillah. The first reaction to crisis is action. What can I do to ameliorate my difficulties? What can I do to address my suffering? How can I take ownership over my challenges? How can I take ownership over the nature, direction, and trajectory of my life? Of course, I'm going to daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A Jew always davens to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I can't do anything without HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the first call is not to God. The first call of action is to me. What can I do? How can I rise to the occasion? How can I remedy these circumstances? And then after I put in my ishtadlus, I've exhausted my abilities. I now need you to step in. That's what we learn from Yaakov Avinu. According to Rabbi Nachman, the incredible idea that sometimes the dream of the complete camp in Eretz Canaan, the dreams, the aspirations, the ideals, the goals we have in life don't always materialize. Sometimes because they get derailed by outside forces. Sometimes we derail ourselves. And sometimes you are derailed by outside forces. The true test of a person's spiritual mettle is how you deal with derailed dreams. How do you deal with derailed life aspirations? It says that Rabbi Yaakov Avinu gives us the answer. Vayachatz es hamachaneh v'hayo hamachaneh hanishar lefleita. Even if your dreams can't come true in the way that you had hoped, even if your dreams can't materialize in the way that you had dreamt about them for years and years and years, grab something. There's always something salvageable. There's always one part of the camp that can be saved. There's always something beautiful that could be taken and that could ultimately, again, be actualized through every life dream. These are the lessons of Yaakov Avinu. These are the lessons that Yaakov Avinu taught us without even realizing that he was being our Rebbe. And Chodesh Baruch Hu gives us these beautiful lessons in just 2 psukim in a nuanced story. These are the lessons that allow Yaakov Avinu to actualize his potential and to be able to overcome his challenges. And these are the very lessons that Amir Hashem will give us the chizuk to Amir Hashem do the same.
What's a group? Yeah, why are you talking outside?
Remember, we had that same thing with the koala. I'm pretty sure.
Thank you so much.